Hello.
We need a jingle. We're
A
back with
jingle.
the Processing Podcast.
That sounds so catchy. I feel like it could be a commercial just like that.
Yes, I agree. You know what the worst thing that can happen when you get boba? They
What?
don't give you the right boba straw.
I thought you were gonna say that you do that thing where you like drink it too eagerly and then the boba like shoots to the back of your throat and then you choke.
I want that nothing more than right now because I can't even, there's a boba stuck in the straw and it's incredibly unfortunate.
You would give anything to die by boba choking right now.
Yes, yes, I
Okay.
envy that. Um, I genuinely miss you. I haven't talked to you in so long. I want to know what you have going on in life. You're always busy with some sort of wedding planning, not your own wedding anymore, but other
Yeah.
people's weddings and all the events that come with that. But I wish we were
Well,
hanging out right now.
I know, especially because it's April, so it's officially a year since my wedding month,
That's
which
true.
is,
I was
yeah.
gonna say April feels like such a wholesome month to me, and maybe
Mhm.
it's because it's the month of your holy matrimony. Maybe that's why I feel that, or Easter, one of
Yeah,
those.
well, it's funny that you should mention that because not only do I have a bachelorette party this weekend that I'm going to, but I also just committed to another bachelorette party for Labor Day weekend, so in a couple months.
Oh my gosh. That's
And that's
insane.
and that's like so I have this bachelorette party that I'm in the wedding for in May. And then I have the other bachelorette party in on Labor Day. I'm not sure when that wedding is. I haven't heard yet. And then I
Oh my
have
gosh.
another bachelorette party next spring. And I just know the way that like all my friends are going in their relationships that more is going to happen. I
Well,
just know.
that's what I was gonna say is how many wedding events you've had in the past 3 years, there's no point in me getting married because it's just going to be like, oh, another wedding when it comes time for mine. But your wedding for me was so special because it was my first time ever being a maid of honor. It was like the first person I was so close with getting married. And now I feel like it's just going to be annoying when it's time for me to get married. You're going to be like, oh,
No, that just means you have to do something so iconic that it just tops
yes,
everybody else's wedding.
that
So
is
good
my
luck.
goal.
Good luck figuring that out and also good luck affording that.
But then I saw pictures from your friend's wedding that was in Hawaii, and I was like, there's just nothing I can do, no matter how hard I try or how much money I spend, that can top some of the other weddings that you've been to. But I'm gonna really try.
You
I'm gonna
are.
really
And I know
try.
you will. I know
That's
you're
my
going to
goal.
try, and I'm really excited to watch you try and to watch you try to budget for it. It'll be really fun for me to watch.
So I'm glad to
But
hear that nothing's changed since the last time we've talked. More weddings.
no, it's just, I think probably I'm just like committed to the next 5 years, basically, like just going to bachelorette parties and weddings.
Wow.
But you know what? I am so excited for this bachelorette. It's in San Diego, so there's no flight
Mhm.
required, which is kind of nice because that's like a whole nother, leg to plan for. And I just don't, quite frankly, have the energy for that right now,
Mhm.
for the money, really. So so I'm excited though. It's gonna be like a bunch of girls that like I have never been on a trip with before, but have known for a long time. So I think that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah,
Wait, talk if you do you mind talking about that, like the reality of after having a wedding, what the finances look like in a couple's life? Like you don't have to be super specific, but I see a lot of people talk about like, oh, after you buy a house, it's
mm,
like, okay, now we have to furnish the place and we can't afford that. And I'm sure some of that is joking and some of it's like partially true. Like what was
Mm.
your experience, if you don't mind being like vulnerable in that way of going
Yeah.
from paying or
Well,
having a lot of money paying for a wedding and then the fallout?
yeah, I mean, I I felt like honestly, so number one, we had help from our parents, not 100% help, but we had a lot of help. So it's not like we paid for the whole thing ourselves. So there's that. And also, I honestly felt like at the end of the day, I did spend a lot of money, but I did a lot of stuff myself. And I also found some really great like deals. So really, it was less of, oh my gosh, we can't do anything, and more of just like, hey, we just have to slow down a little bit in the next couple months. But we still went to New York in the winter. We're going to Hawaii again this year. So it's like, I don't really feel like a huge financial burden from our wedding. Plus, the one thing that is nice about a wedding is big weddings are expensive, but with big weddings, you also have a big guest list, which means a lot of people, which means a lot of presents, so a lot of
So
times.
it takes care of a lot of future buying things. Okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense. I feel like just naturally you yeah would go through a time where it's yeah you can't be as spendy,
sure.
I
Yeah,
guess.
like
And I imagine during that time your mindset is, if we're going to spend the money, it's going to be now, so let's go all out. Like let's not sacrifice any of our wants in certain things because it's going to be worth it in the end.
yeah, and that was our mindset for our honeymoon too.
Mhm.
I don't think I will ever be as bold or as brazen as I was on like my mindset for spending on my honeymoon was like the
Mhm.
boldest I've ever been. I was just like, we're here, it's our honeymoon. We will literally pay for anything. Like you could like someone could have given me like triple the cost of whatever it was that we wanted to do, and I would have been like,
Yeah.
well, we're
All
here.
right.
So
You
we're
could have
gonna...
scammed the heck out of Sophie
Yeah.
in
And I would have
Hawaii,
been
and
like, here's
she
my
would have been
money.
okay with it. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know what my situation will be like. It's so unfathomable. And I'm sure you can think back to when you were not even engaged, and just thinking of all that goes into planning such a big event and honeymoon and home, potentially kids one day. It's just such an unfathomable financial situation to me that I'm like, it's gonna work itself out, but I have no idea what it's gonna look like. And I'm not the most frugal person. Like I definitely like nice things and want
Yeah.
to experience nice things. And that is something I think about now. Like planning for that stuff is important to me. I am not someone, that's one thing I realized. I'm not someone, and it's not necessarily in my control, but I don't want to just have no sense of knowing or planning for such a huge event in my life. And I guess you can naturally just save and be aware of anything can pop up in life. But I don't want to be unprepared for something like that, because the thought of entering that really exciting time of life with your partner and being engaged and then having to stress about everything else that comes after that
Mhm.
financially, about planning. It may not have been the case for you or maybe most people, but I have heard of people that are having that experience. And of course, their love is at the focal point and they're not really stressed. But for every conversation to be about money or this or that, regardless of how much help is received from parents, I want to be like prepared for that. But that's a part of life that I'm, working through. Like you can't really control everything and you kind of have to be okay with spontaneity.
Yeah, I mean, well, number one, the nice thing about planning a wedding or like any event is like you pay it slowly over time. Like you make an initial deposit that's
Mhm.
small, and then all the different payments are due at different times. So like you're very slowly paying for this large amount, especially if you have a longer engagement. So it didn't really feel like this really huge hit to our bank account.
That
So
makes
there's that.
sense. It's not
Yeah,
like,
there's
all
that.
right, write a check.
Yeah, all right, all at once. Like, no. So that would have
Yeah.
been anxiety provoking for sure. But and then I don't know, like there are also just things that you just figure out. I feel like you just make it work. And I think this is true of like a lot of different things in life, whether it's kids or a wedding or whatever. But this is like kind of a stupid example, but Darren was the commissioner for his fantasy football league this year. And everybody obviously ponied up all the money, and I hadn't realized that Darren had put that money into our checking. And so I was just spending
What?
I was spending
Dude,
just spending it, not even thinking out.
what?
I was just kind of like, I was just like, oh, I was like, oh, look it, we can have some fun this month. Like we have some
See,
extra
that
funds.
is also this is so crazy. I want to hear more, but that's something I can't relate to sharing a bank account. Like, how do you just assume that that money is there? Okay, continue. What did you do
Well, I
after?
think he mentioned it, but it just for whatever reason, like we were just spending it and I just didn't even think about it. And so when the time came to pay out, and it was like 2 grand. It was like 2 grand that we were just kind of just like going through, and I was like, oh. And then at the same time, our car registration was due, and there was something else. And then just like general, our bills. So we had to pay like an additional, like we had to budget for like an additional $3,000 in that month's budget
What was his
because
reaction? Like, Sophie, what are you doing?
he was just like, yeah, he was like, we've always known that that's gonna have to come out. And I was like, I didn't know that. I was like, I was just going to like the nail salon. I was going out. I was like, oh, I could treat myself to a nice dinner tonight.
That is
Drinks are on me,
really,
everybody.
really, really crazy. Okay, so like we talked about at the top of the show, it's April.
Mhm.
Happy April. I'm curious if you had any experiences on April 1st
Yes.
getting duped online. Because I have one, it's not super crazy, but I have a few,
Online?
yeah, just like a Instagram post. But I'm
Okay.
curious if you were duped at all or if you were pranked, because I feel
I
like
was
you
pranked.
would fall for something online.
Why does everybody say that? You know what? To be fair, I did I've gotten scammed multiple times. I got scammed on my Instagram account. Obviously, that's why I have a new Instagram account.
Oh,
Remember?
yeah. I
I
thought
got
about
scammed
that the
on
other
Instagram.
day. Like, wow, she handled that really well. That's a
That
throwback
happened.
episode. You have to go back and listen if you want to know what we're talking about.
It's honestly really embarrassing. And then there was another time in college where one of those things, like those scams that sometimes pop up, like your computer's been hacked. Click this
Oh
button to
no.
like, clear the viruses or whatever. So I clicked and like called this guy and he was like, yeah, I
Yep.
literally let him fully into my computer and he was like, to fix it, it's gonna cost like $500. And he's like, just type in your credit card right here. And Lindsay, my roommate at the time, she was like, she was listening. She was the same age as me. It's not like she was like much older with more experience. She just had wherewithal to know that I was being scammed. And she was like, hang up the phone right now.
There's two demographics. There's the older demographic that is oftentimes scammed, and then there's Sophie. I'm just
I'm my
kidding.
own
It's
I'm
not
my own
crazy to be trusting, but I've been scammed before too. Buying tickets on Craigslist for a Packers Vikings game, and I was looking for like lower level tickets for me and my former coworker who was a big Packers fan, and I just wanted to go watch a really good football game. So I told him, okay, I found these like really great tickets, all inclusive. It was, I think, 180 each. And I told him, so he Venmoed me for the tickets, and I was just gonna like pay for it, and he had already Venmoed me, and I was just working out the deal. It was a scam,
Oh no.
tragically. So I had paid through text, like with Apple Pay, and um I was way too embarrassed to tell my coworker that I was scammed. So I
Oh,
just paid him the 180 and I lost all the money. And I've never said anything. I was just like, oh, shoot, the guy like sold him to someone else. And internally, I was like, this is the worst day of my entire life.
So- oh, Mary. Oh my God. So you lost what? That's like 360. You lost
Yeah.
so much
And that
money.
was when I was working at my first job out of college in local TV as a weekend sports anchor, but my salary was very, very small. Very small. So it was a pretty big hit.
So you lost. Wait. So you lost because you didn't want to tell your coworker. You
Yeah. Oh,
lost
no.
like
I mean, but
$540.
if you think about it, like your coworker is trusting you to not lose the money that they send you. So I didn't deserve to, like, what was he gonna do? Be like, oh, there's the money, like there it goes. Like, no, I still owe him the money because he didn't get the tickets. Like, I just shouldn't have been in control of that, but now I'm overly skeptical.
Was it obvious looking back, like that it was a scam?
Um,
Or would you make the same mistake
I wouldn't
today
make
if
the
I
same
gave
mistake
you if
again,
I gave you
but
the money for something, you would
but
you
yeah, I wouldn't make the same mistake again, but it wasn't super obvious, but I wouldn't make that same mistake. Okay, but on April Fool's Day,
Oh.
what happened?
Well, yeah, Darren, I mean, it was Darren, of course. And you think I would know because he- he's such a prankster, and I know that. I'm well aware of it. And I was also very well aware that it was April Fool's Day. But yet he comes home and he shows me like this text from his dad, and his dad was like, I booked the trade show for because they do a trade show every year for the company to get leads, and he was like, I booked it for September 20th through 22nd, which is when we're going to be in Hawaii. And he was like, the text said no exceptions, you have to be there. and, and Darren said my face was like, he's like he couldn't even continue with the prank because I was so just like upset and like dejected immediately, like so
You are
sad.
the
And he
best person to give a mini heart attack. Like you really are. There's something just so amazing about it and entertaining. You don't make a big reaction. You just have this like genuine, like almost a moment that you imagine like you're a really distressed, like middle-aged woman. That's your reaction, and it's so good.
it's
And
because
the fact that
it's
your
because of
husband
my
torments you
mom.
like that is just the cutest.
It's because of my mom. I'm telling you, my mom
Yes, it is.
has trained me to react this way. Just like holding, like it's almost like a like hold bottling it all in and just like feeling all the emotions, but not actually letting anybody know like verbally what I'm feeling, just like dying inside. And it's
That's
very
really
visible.
funny.
It's very noticeable, but
Yeah, I saw it was dumb. I saw a Instagram post from Eminem and he was teasing new music, like the music you've all been waiting for. And it this the track in the background of it was like um his old stuff that I love. And I already know he doesn't even have the same sound and doesn't have the same style as he did in the OG days. And I still fell for it.
Mhm.
I was like, oh. And then I looked at the comments and I was like, dang it.
Dang it. It's April 1st. Well, okay, this
we
actually
we got
what?
a message from our news director that was like legitimately watch out for April Fool's posts. And you would think like, okay, as journalists, obviously we're gonna know the difference. But there was a post from the city of San Antonio, I think. This could be way off from as far as who posted it, but it was like a legit city account that that like revealed the plans and a whole description of this gondola connecting downtown to the zoo. And it's like this super amazing project that was invested in, and there was no sign of it being fake other than it was just like an unrealistic thing. So things like that I thought were really weird. Like, okay,
From the
cool
city of
joke.
San Antonio?
Yeah. It's like, okay, nice one. You probably
Wait,
fooled a lot of people.
that makes that also makes me laugh because every time Darren says he goes to the city to get plans approved, he says it's always like one person working and it's like so inefficient and it's like takes hours upon hours. And to think that they're doing that.
They're planning pranks.
Oh my God. Yeah, congrats. That's like a doctor telling someone you have a disease. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's like,
April Fools.
just kidding. It's like, well, of course I believed you. I mean, you're a doctor.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, okay, that actually brings me to a question I wanted to ask you. I was scrolling through TikTok and I noticed this trend and I wanted us to answer this question because I don't
TikTok.
know if I don't want to start a fight or anything, but
Let's
there's
do
this
it.
thing where it says, and I also hate using this word, you know, the word delulu. I hate that word. I think it's like,
I I used the word dupe as in the context of how it's used on TikTok when describing something to my boyfriend. So it wasn't like professionally. And he was like, "What does that mean?" And I was like, "I don't know." Because I know if he doesn't know what it means, then it's probably not what I think it is.
so you just
And
give up on it entirely.
yeah, like I was describing a knockoff of an
Oh
item.
yeah, that's what it is. That's a dupe. But
Yeah, a dupe,
delulu,
but in the real world, a dupe is when you get faked out.
oh yeah.
But
Hmm.
on TikTok, it's a way to describe knockoff brands or products.
Hmm.
That's not the same context as the real life.
Yeah, it's not like negative on TikTok, but yeah, no, I know.
Yeah,
It's almost like saying
exactly.
like the Kirkland brand of something or whatever.
Yeah. It's just like not it's a TikTok word for sure.
Yeah, but I guess like Delulu is also a TikTok word, which I just hate it. I don't know why, but I do. But it's
Yes.
part of this question. It says
Okay.
in every friendship, there's the one friend who is absolutely Delulu and the one friend who is 100% sane. And like that's always true. That's always the case. So then who do we think?
I wholeheartedly believe we are the exception. Who do you I clearly you disagree, but I think we are both logical. I think we are like I don't think either of us are delusional.
I think we each are delusional about certain things.
Okay. So about what? Because my
Well,
mind
like,
only goes to like the things we're strong at, the things that we excel at.
so see, like I said, I don't want to start a fight, but
Okay, let's go for it. I'm
no,
curious.
but no, because so I was talking to Darren and he was he was saying that the two of you had talked about this before about me, how like sometimes it's really apparent that I'm an only child because I'm just like just so wrapped up in my own world a lot of the times.
I did make an only child joke on the last episode that I don't think hit at all, but I don't want people to think I'm mean.
Wait, what'd you say? I don't even remember.
I didn't say it right. It didn't make sense. But when we prank called my sister, I tried to say, well, I would have you prank call your sibling, but you don't have any. Yeah. And I was like, that was, you didn't laugh. And I was like, that probably is gonna sound really rude. But anyways, continue. I'm sorry.
So, well, in so many words though, I feel like a lot of times I can be so for example, like I'll illustrate what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So the other day, Darren and I were out on one of our walks and we were talking about how we wanted to spend the evening. And we were like, oh, let's watch Game of Thrones and like make coffee. Like that sounds great. And we both said, yeah. And so I came home and I noticed there was still coffee left in the pot from the morning. And I said, oh, perfect. I can just there's enough to make myself a cup of iced coffee for myself. And so I made it. I made the cup of coffee and I just sat down and got really comfortable. And there,
No, yeah, that's funny. I haven't seen you do something like that before because you generally are a good host when you're with me, but or you are. But that is something that is comparable to things I've seen you do. Okay, continue.
so, and then that's how Darren and I got on this because he got mad. He's like, are you kidding? He was like, we just talked about this, how we both wanted coffee. And so you just thought, oh, there's enough for you. So you're just gonna have it and not make any or like offer me any. And I was like, well, I didn't want to waste it. And now I don't need coffee because I have this coffee. So that I guess would be my how I can be Delulu sometimes. So that's
Okay.
the argument for me. But then
Oh, okay.
you're
I was like, this sounds great. What are you talking about?
so that's the argument for me. I think for you though, you're Delulu in like a funny way. Like I remember in college, like I remember one time you started,
Well, the person I was in college, I don't associate with, but again, continue.
well, I remember her very well. So one time you started like you were singing this, I think Megan the Stallion song, I'm pretty sure. You were like rapping.
It was
And then
probably
you
Cardi B, but
oh,
continue.
it was Cardi B.
Yeah.
That's who it was. And you were you were like really you got to the point where you were really trying. Like you were like not joking around anymore. Like you were like rapping. And then you turned to me in alley and you were like, you guys, I know for a fact that I sound exactly like Cardi B.
I
And
do remember this.
you were not joking. And then we said, okay. And then we said, let's turn off the music and you just
It
rap.
was
And
absolutely Bodak Yellow.
you were so confident. It was like I almost felt bad telling you you didn't because you were so sure that you sounded.
Okay, that actually still, yeah, Bodak Yellow. That still holds because I genuinely think when I sing What I Was Made For by Billie Eilish in my car, I'm like, if you keep her in my ears and I match her, do I sound, I don't think I sound like her, obviously, but like, do I sound good enough to like be able to pass as someone that could sing this song? But I
Yeah.
absolutely cannot. So that still holds I am still
Yeah.
delusional in that way.
There's
Um,
that. And then you also like it's almost like with artists a lot of the times. Like I remember also you said one time like Big Shaq that you were romantically attracted to him.
yeah. So that is also something that holds in the way that I am so inspired by certain people.
Big
Um,
Shaq.
and the people that impress me, and one genre that impresses me in the world, but it specifically comes out in music, is funny, witty artists and rappers, like
Mhm.
people that are funny, witty, and can also make something that sounds good. So that's why I have gravitated towards Tyler the Creator and
Sure. But
Eminem. Eminem's the OG.
I don't think Big Shaq is being funny. I think he's being
Big
serious.
Shaq is maybe not trying to be funny, but he is.
He's like 100% serious.
Yeah, that's that are that yeah. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that, but I could see that. I don't think that is exactly in line with the TikTok example you're talking about.
Mm.
I think maybe everyone in their own way can be delusional at times,
Hmm.
but I wouldn't say you or I are more or less delusional than the other.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we both have our funny little quirks, but ultimately we're rational human beings.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I've been going through like a little bit of a not it's nothing major, but it is something I kind of want to figure out sooner rather than later. Oh gosh, please put I just received hold on, this is urgent. I received a trivia question from a coworker. Okay, because they're probably at a trivia event. Put these in order top to bottom. Canton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Columbus. As far as geographically, I assume. So Canton,
Canton? I don't
oh,
even know
that's
where Canton
all in
is.
order, like all Cleveland cities. What does this
I
mean?
don't even know where
Or sorry,
Canton,
Ohio cities. Excuse me.
I don't even know where Canton is.
Canton, Ohio. From top to bottom, like
That is a
geographically.
part of the country that honestly, it's just one big section. There's no delineate.
Ohio.
Yeah, like Ohio, Illinois, what even else is there?
Okay, I am with you with Ohio because I've never lived there. It is a place that has a lot of very relevant cities that have major sports teams.
Yeah, yeah,
But like I don't know enough people from there, so I'm like, do you like living in Ohio? But I think Illinois is one of the cool, like Chicago is one of the
sure.
coolest cities.
Yeah, I guess they all just like I would never be able to tell you what order Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio are in. I would have no idea. I would not even know where to begin to tell you.
Illinois, Indiana, Ohio.
Yeah, they're all
I
right
believe
there.
it's Indiana, okay, Illinois is furthest west of those three. Illinois, and then I believe it's Ohio and then Indiana from west to east. Let's fact check.
Your guess is as good as
US
mine.
map. Let's
Your guess is
see.
probably better than mine, actually.
What? No, okay, Illinois. No, Ohio is the furthest, and I did think that was possible, but yeah, that well, okay, so in my defense, I went to school in the Midwest and I lived in the Midwest for 4 years after college, and the Midwest, quote unquote, extends way beyond the middle of the US.
Yeah.
So Ohio people and Indiana people consider themselves a part of the Midwest. And I'm like, how? Because you're basically the East Coast.
Yeah. And also like pretty north too. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
well,
that is.
so basically, long story short, I don't think we can help your friend who's trying to cheat on trivia.
He said yes. And I'm going to say, dude, I literally have absolutely no idea.
It's like the
He probably
most,
wanted me to Google it.
and he probably saw you typing like a little while and was like, oh, she knows. No.
What I was saying was I've been going through just trying to figure out mentally, like at 26 years old, what do I consider living living and getting the most out of life? So when I'm in my older years, like I look back and I don't have any regrets, like I feel like I'm living life to the fullest. And I think for me, I'm kind of trying to figure out the what that means to me so I can hurry up and get on it
Yeah.
before all of my 20s is behind me, because I do feel like I have made a lot of progress in my career, which in turn is like a very fulfilling process to me, and my career is fulfilling to me as far as what makes me happy. and then my relationship, but I also feel like I'm a very adventurous person. I feel like I'm a high achieving person. So I need to figure out um what really fulfills me beyond those couple things. And it's not just like day-to-day goals. I've tried that and seeing, is that what fulfills me? Like getting the best out of myself every day with working out, with cooking, with um, going and partying or going and doing X, Y, and Z. Like I'm not sure what that is for me. And maybe when I go to the Dominican Republic later this year for Evan's friend's wedding, maybe I'll experience this thrill of travel. And then that's kind of where my
Mhm.
focus lies. Um, do you feel like with all of the events you have with your friends, with bachelorettes and just like hanging out and partying with loved ones and friends in that way, do you feel like that itches that for you as far as like living life to the fullest, or what do you think that is for you right now?
It's really hard. That's something Darren and I talk about actually a lot because we both kind of feel like we're in a space now where, we kind of got the partying out of our system.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really feel like, we're not trying to go out to clubs that much anymore or like go out drinking or whatever. So that's not really it for us. And then we're like, as a married couple, it's like, well, then is it like a family? Like, is it time to start a family? Or is it time to really dig into our careers or find hobbies, like things that we enjoy doing? But for me, I don't know if it's just that I've been so focused on, school and work that I just haven't found the hobbies that I love. But I just don't really love, like, I'm not like some people really are passionate about hobbies, but for
Mm-hmm.
me, I just am like, yeah, I guess that sounds fun,
Yeah,
you
like
know?
people that love hiking or surfing or honestly, dog owners have a whole world of their own with
Hmm.
socializing with their dogs. So that's good to hear that you and Darren think about that because I don't think Evan thinks about that too much. Like is he is like really compatible with me in that way that he's not pulling me in a different direction than I want my life to go. Like he's very much open and ready for any journey.
Hmm.
But I think the way that it manifests in my everyday life is pressure, like pressure on myself to make the most out of every moment. And I'm like, what is the most of every moment? Because that is something I need to figure out. And maybe life isn't meant to be that exciting if you're not
That's
making
what
millions
Darren and
or
I,
billions of dollars. Like
yeah.
maybe this is it. But I refuse to believe that.
I
So
know, especially when, like, I think a big thing is that through our whole lives, there was always something next. Like, it was always like, the next grade or the next school or the next job or the next
mhm,
age that we turn. Like, oh, you turn 21, that's a whole new door that's opening. But I feel like as you get older, there's not as many of those doors. Like you experience a lot. So nothing feels like brand sparkly new. So I think
mhm.
that's part of it, but I don't think it's impossible to like get it back.
And on that note,
That's probably the worst possible way to end this show.
why so serious, son?
I hate that so much. I hate so many things about it for so many different reasons. I hate it.